Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Come on, you can get this. There's a verse written. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhana. Should be two. Is it two or one? Forget it. Sorry. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Again. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Pradjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Pradjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha 14:16 4:16:2 Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Pradjana Ranjana Pradjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Pradjana Ranjana Nandana Pradjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Pad, Paramahansa, Paravatikacharya, Ashtotar, Shri Srimad Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Paravatikacharya, Ashtotar, Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki Jai. All glories to the Assam devotees. All glories to the Assam devotees. All glories to the Assam devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. What to do? Tell them to be quiet. Tell them to lower the volume. Okay. They're finished. Everything's good. Everything is fine. Huh? The curtains, yeah, that would be nice. Okay, let's try again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 17th day of July 2019 in SanDiego, we're reading from srimadbhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're reading from the 4th canto, The Creation of the Fourth Order, 16th chapter, Praise of King Prithu by the Professional Reciters, text number 2. Nalambayam te mahimanuvarnane mahimanuvarnane yo devava yo vatatara mahaya venangajatasya cha paurushani te vachaspatinam abhibabhramurdiyah nalambayam te mahimanuvarnane yo devavaryo vatatara mahaya venangajatasya cha paurushani te vataspatinam abhibabhramurdiyah nalambayam te mahimanuvarnane yo devavaryo vatatara mahaya venangajatasya cha paurushani te vataspatinam abhibabhramurdiyah nalambayam te mahimanuvarnane yo devavaryo vatatara mahaya venangajatasya cha paurushani te vachaspatinam abhibabhramurdiyah nalambayam te mahimanuvarnane yo devavaryo vatatara mahaya venangajatasya cha paurushani te vachaspatinam abhibabhramurdiyah nalambayam te mahimanuvarnane yo devavaryo vatatara mahaya venangajatasya cha paurushani te vachaspatinam abhibabhramurdiyah. Okay. Word by words. Na'alam, not able. Vayam, we. Te, your. Mahima, glories. Anuvarnane, in describing. I think that's got to be Mahima. What do you think there? Mahima. Not Mahima. Some says Mahima. I think there's a mistake. Yaha, you who? Deva, the personality of Godhead. Varyaha, foremost. Avatatara, descended. Mayaya, by his internal potencies, or causeless mercy. Vena Anga, from the body of King Vena. Jatasya, who have appeared. Cha, and. Paurushani, glorious activities. Te, of you. Vacha Patinam, of great orators. Api, Although Brahmahu became bewildered. Diyaha, the minds. Translation. The reciters continued, Dear King, you are a direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, and by his causeless mercy you have descended on this earth. Therefore it is not possible for us to actually glorify your exalted activities. Although you have appeared through the body of King Vena, even great orators and speakers like Lord Brahma and other demigods cannot exactly describe the glorious activities of your lordship. Okay, here's another possible mistake. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the word Maya means by your causeless mercy. The Mayavadi philosophers explain the word Maya as meaning illusion or falseness. However, there is another meaning of Maya, that is causeless mercy. There are two kinds of Maya, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Mahamaya is an expansion of Yoga Maya, and both these Mayas are different expressions of the Lord's internal potencies. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord appears through his internal potencies, Atma Maya. We should therefore reject the Mayavad explanation that the Lord appears in a body given by the external potency, the material energy. The Lord and his incarnation are fully independent and can appear anywhere and everywhere by virtue of the internal potency. Although born out of the so-called dead body of King Vena, King Prithu was still an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the Lord's internal potency. The Lord can appear in any family. Sometimes he appears as a fish incarnation, Matsya avatar, or a boar incarnation, Varaha avatar. Thus the Lord is completely free and independent to appear anywhere and everywhere by his internal potency. It is stated that Ananta, an incarnation of the Lord who has unlimited mouths, cannot reach the end of his glorification of the Lord, although Ananta has been describing the Lord since time immemorial. So what to speak of demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and others? It is said that the Lord is Shiva Virinchinutam, always worshipped by demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. If the demigods cannot find adequate language to express the glories of the Lord, then what to speak of others? Consequently, reciters like the Sutta and Magadha felt inadequate to speak about King Prithu. By glorifying the Lord with exalted verses, one becomes purified. Although we are unable to offer prayers to the Lord in an adequate fashion, our duty is to make the attempt in order to purify ourselves. It is not that we should stop our glorification because demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot adequately glorify the Lord. Rather, as stated by Prahlad Maharaj, everyone should glorify the Lord according to his own ability. If we are serious and sincere devotees, the Lord will give us the intelligence to offer prayers properly. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So I'm sorry, I missed a whole chapter there. Some of you sped through the 15th chapter. Yeah. But, so we're now hearing about this sweet exchange between the reciters and the Lord himself, Prithu Maharaj. Now it has to be emphasized and remembered that Prithu Maharaj is a Shakti Avesh avatar. It's mentioned that he is Avesh. And yet he's spoken of here just like a Vishnu Tattva. And he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. You are a direct incarnation, so and it goes on like that. You'll see as we proceed. I looked ahead. But he's actually a highly empowered jiva who's been given or empowered with the Pala Shakti. Pala Shakti is especially what the kings get. The Kshatriyas. Pala means to protect. And the primary duty of the Kshatriyas is to protect the people from the demoniac. So Prithu will do that. Because of Vena's realm, the earth had gradually stopped producing grains. And so that was one of his first things. We'll read as we go ahead, that he's enjoining the earth to start giving grains. The earth is kind of reluctant to do that, and so there's a whole pastime there where he finally induces the earth to continue to produce enough grains for the people, because that's what the first thing you have to do is eat. So Prabhupada, he emphasizes this word Maya, and this appears in the verse in Bhagavad Gita, which he also refers to, Atma Maya. Ajopi san abhyatma bhutanam isharopi san prakatim swamadhishtaya sambhavam yatma mayaya. At the beginning of the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna first explains how he spoke this science to the sun god many millions and millions of years ago. And Arjuna, playing the role of the conditioned soul who's being purified by hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he says, how can that be true? We're contemporaries. I don't understand it. How could you speak something to millions and millions of years ago? So then Krishna begins to explain his advent, how he appears in this world. And that bahuni me vatitani janmani tabacharjana tanyaham vidasavanina tvam veta parantaba. That many, many births both you and I have had, Arjuna, meaning that Arjuna has always accompanied Krishna as his eternal friend. But Krishna remembers them all, and Arjuna doesn't. Because Krishna doesn't change his body. He's always situated in his Satchidananda body in every incarnation, every form that he takes. But Arjuna is taking different bodies, although the soul there in the body is always Krishna's friend, has that relationship. So that's one important point. And then the next verse, Ajopi san, even though I am unborn. So this is one of these Upanishadic apparent oxymorons or contradictions. Although I'm unborn, I keep taking birth. Abhyatma, and my transcendental body never deteriorates. And although I am the Lord of all beings, still, by my internal potency, I take birth in every millennium, or every yuga. And this word Atma Maya is important. Prabhupada, he quotes it here, and he explains it in that purport in the 4th chapter. So this is a clean, very distinct difference between ourselves, or any conditioned souls, and the Lord. We don't take birth by our own energy. We're forced to take birth, and we're given exactly that form that we're due according to our activities, our karma in this birth as a human being. We're put in a suitable womb to come out and to fulfill our karma and try to fulfill our unfulfilled desires. So, but intrinsically, we are also unborn. That's one of the qualities, right? Ajo nityik shastrado yam purano nahanyate hanumane shirere. In the chapter 2, text 20, probably would always quote this verse describing the qualities of the soul. Unborn, eternal, ever-existing, primeval. These same adjectives can be applied to Krishna. But we don't realize that. We completely identify with whatever particular body we're in, human or subhuman or superhuman. But whatever it is, we think this is who I am, because we forget the previous bodies. So our goal, one of our goals, is to regain our awareness of that spiritual body by which we're relating to Krishna. And when we act on the basis of the Krishna's desires rather than the desires coming up from this body and mind, then we develop our awareness of that body, and ultimately we regain our place in the spiritual world, where we are as unborn and as eternal as Krishna is. So, Prabhupada first he takes he aims some of his criticism here at the Mayavadis, as he often does, because their idea is completely different. That they think that the Lord, when the impersonal Brahman takes a body such as Krishna, then that body is made of material elements, which is completely opposite to what Krishna says. He says, my body never deteriorates. So where's the material body that never deteriorates? There is no such body. Even when Krishna appears here, his body is Satchidananda. And there's no difference between his body and himself. This is a clear distinction between ourselves and Krishna. There is certainly a difference between ourselves and our body. Otherwise, we would be, can you imagine imagine falling back into that absolute certainty that you're this body? What a depressing thought. This is why everyone is so obsessed. They want to stay eternal. I was getting driven home the other day by Kanai, and you pass this little establishment on the southern side of Grand Avenue, the Botox Center. It seems to be doing very well. There's cars parked there. Building is... There's always a market for people who are so much illusion and have enough money that they can try to make themselves look younger and look in the mirror and say, "Oh, I'm actually young." It's pathetic, really. This soul, which is part and parcel of God, which really is eternally young, is trying to superimpose that eternal youth idea onto this decaying body. So that's the tragedy of material life. It's all based on illusion. So the Mayavadis are also an illusion. They're thinking that Krishna himself has a material body, but that in the actual form, the absolute truth, has no body, no form, no quality. That's the famous nirvishesh. Vishesha means the details, all that goes into making our personality, our form, our activities, which Krishna has in perfection. That nirvishesh means, the Mayavadi said, no, in the ultimate issue there are no details, there is no form, there are no activities. The idea that there are is a grand illusion. That's why you're all in Maya. Krishna's form on the altar is just Maya, you're worshipping a stone. That's why the Mayavadis are great offenders. And if you hear too much about him, you also commit offense and you lose your bhakti. Bhakti destroys everything. So, the Lord in His incarnation are fully independent and can appear anywhere and everywhere. And then so this very peculiar and amazing way in which Prithu took birth. So you have this Vena, who was through and through incorrigible demonic mentality, tried to stop all of the sacrifices, berated the Brahmins, claimed to be God himself. Almost a caricature of a demon from the 16th chapter. And the Brahmins became angry. They gave him one last chance. Last time I was here, and I heard some of the class, the Brahmins were speaking to him a few chapters ago, giving him one last chance to straighten out. And say, they told him, you shouldn't do this. You should not try to stop the sacrifices. You should not claim that you're God and God is in. And he couldn't hear. He's the epitome of incorrigibility. It cannot be corrected. That's what incorrigible means. So the Brahmins became angry, even though it's not their role to punish the wrongdoers, but there was no one else. And so with some mantras, with some sounds, they actually killed him. So then you remember what happened. That because then they were done. The Brahmins were done. But his wife, or was it his mother? His mother preserved his body. The way Satyabhama preserved father's body, Shatadanva? No. What's it? Satyajit. His body in a vat of oil. You remember that? In the latter part of the 10th canto. So it doesn't mention that, but she used some mantras and some herbs, something like that. So the body is preserved, which if she hadn't done, then they wouldn't have been able to churn and do all the things that they did. So again, what happens without Vena, is that there's no king. The reason why they put Vena in there in the first place is because his father was so disgusted he left. And then all the dacoits come out and said, oh, there's no government. Let's rob and kill and do it. So we can't have that. So they put Vena in there. Said, well, maybe he'll grow into the job, just like they thought our present president might grow into the job. Well, it's a mistake, both times. So instead, he became a big demon. But at least the dacoits were under control. But he was worse than anything. So then they had to kill him. But then the dacoits come out again. So you have to have a government. So they churn the thighs, and out comes Nishada, Bahuka, who has all the sinful reactions, and they say, okay, you go, get out of here. So he's gone, and then they churn the arms, and out comes Prithu and Archie, the goddess of fortune, expansion of the god of fortune and expansion of empowered incarnation of Krishna. So now they're in business. They have their wonderful king and so forth. But Vena had done such damage that there was a lot of reform that he had to do, get the earth going for and so forth. So that we'll hear about that. So that's the history here. Although born out of the so-called dead body of Vena, was still an incarnation of the Lord by the Lord's internal potency. The Lord can appear in any form He likes, and we know the famous forms, the not complete list: the fish, the boar, half man, half lion, and then so the whole thing is His glorification. Now I learned a word. Here we have the suttas and the magadas, right? They're different kinds of praisers. That's their engagement to praise. So in English you have a word which you probably haven't heard before: panegyrist. Does anyone know that word? Let's look it up. I've got a dictionary here. Let's see what the panegyrists are. Because after all, the used to be kings all over the world, right? I mean, that was Europe and everything. So they have the same kind of ideas that these kings from Vedic age. Panegyrist. Okay. Panegyrist, a person who panegyrizes. That doesn't help. What does panegyrize mean? Panegyrize. Come on. Okay. To deliver or write a panegyric. Too indulgent? All right, we'll have to get down to the panegyric. Anyway, it's exactly what the Magadas and the Suttas do. They deliver praises for a great personality. That's their job. That's what they do. And the kings had them, even in the Middle Ages and so forth. Someone, balladeers, someone who can compose ballads, right off the top of their head. Pretty amazing. And so that's what we have in here. And these Suttas and Magadas, they're praising him. And remember what happened? They were praising him for things that he hadn't done yet, and he was pushing off the praise. Because he's showing the etiquette. When you get praised for something that you haven't done, that's a kind of insult. In other words, it's something that any gentleman would avoid. And that's what he did. And yet now they're praising him anyway. They're going to go back to giving him praises. Now, by glorifying the Lord with exalted verses, one becomes purified. Now, how does that work? We had this question the other night. So, if you in the bhakti tradition, you can always find a personal answer for this. One may say, well, this is the science of bhakti. This is the way. It's personal. Just like if someone praises you, right? If you're walking by a doorway and you hear your name in there, you'll probably sneak back there and hiding. You think, well, what are they saying about me, right? And if it's something nice, you'll be pleased. You might even clear your throat and kind of walk in. Why is that? Because it's just the nature of the soul. When someone praises you, then you're pleased. When they insult you, you get depressed or angry. So Krishna is a person. When we praise him, especially when we praise him accurately, when we praise him according to what we've heard from real sources of knowledge, then he's pleased. And when Krishna is pleased in the heart, he gives us more intelligence, he purifies us. This is how it works. It's right there in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, chapter 2 of the first canto. Shrunvatam sukata Krishna punya shabana kirtana ridyantaksto hyabhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. That Krishna, Shrunvatam, when he understands from within the heart that a certain soul is hearing of him nicely, proper vibration, Shrunvatam swakata, his own kata, glorification. Krishna, he's the subject of the senses. Shabana kirtan, Shrunvatam swakata Krishna punya shabana kirtana. That's an adjective in Krishna, which means by hearing and chanting of whom one acquires piety, because you're associating with the Lord directly through the sound vibration. But Krishna himself, he cleanses away the impurities in your heart. Lust, anger, greed, illusion. These are called abhadras, inauspicious things that block our understanding of ourselves and Krishna. These are obstacles to our devotion. Vidunoti literally means to cleanse away. Surit Satam, because he is the best friend, dearmost friend of his devotees, of the Satams, those who are real devotees. So it's a reciprocal thing. Krishna is there. He understands everything that we're hearing and chanting, whether it's transcendental or not. And when that is truly, we're sincerely hearing and chanting about Krishna, say chanting, because this is about glorification, but you can't really chant without hearing, right? So he responds by giving us advancement in devotional service. That's why those two processes are the foundation of the whole, of everything else. There's really not going to be any archana, any dasya, any sakya, or anything like that without first hearing about Krishna and then chanting and repeating that. And hearing this word is very important, shushusho. Shushusho is an interesting word. It's obviously coming from hearing, from the word to hear, but that particular word means to serve as well, to humbly serve. In other words, to hear the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and then to take them to heart and try to follow them. That's the shushusho method. So when Krishna understands that here is a devotee who has heard, who is trying to serve me, and he's glorifying me, now that glorification, it says here, one should glorify the Lord according to his own ability. Well, at first we don't have any ability, we don't know much about Krishna, and we kind of, you can repeat the glorification of the great devotees like in Srimad Bhagavatam. Queen Kunti's prayers, you know. You can stand before the Lord, and it takes you a few minutes to memorize. Yes, that's part of the surrender. Or you can read the book even, you know. Shri Krishna Krishna Sakavrishvishabhava Nidrug Rajanya Vangsa Dhahanana Pavarga Virya Govinda Gojida Sarati Haravatara Yogeshwara Kiraguro Bhagavan Namaste. Now in this verse, you're quoting directly from Queen Kunti, which is already pleasing to Krishna. And then if you've taken the trouble to understand the meaning, that's very pleasing to Krishna. And if you can't, you know, you're not smart enough to do that, you can read the translation. But the basic translation, Shri Krishna Krishna Saka. Now what does that mean? Well, oh Shri Krishna, who is Krishna Saka. Balaram, you know this verse. What does Krishna Saka mean? It's a name for Krishna. Friend of Krishna. But Krishna here is Arjuna. He's also known as Krishna. So here that's one of her sons, Arjuna. Shri Krishna Krishna Saka, Vrishabha, the best of the Vrishnis, his dynasty, remembering his glorious dynasty, the Yadu dynasty. Vrishabha Abani Drug Rajanya Vangsa Dahana. Dahana means to burn. You burned so many. I mean, this is at the end of his, Advent practically. The battle is over, the whole Lombard. So Krishna directly annihilated so many thousands of these demoniac kings and their forces. Jarasan would bring his armies, how many Akshaunis, so many elephants, so many horses, so much infantry, thousands and thousands of men. He would lay siege to Mathura, and then he would get annihilated. Krishna would go out there with his bow and arrow and just kill everything, the animals and everything. The whole idea is that he's ridding the earth of the demoniac forces. But he wouldn't kill Jarasan. And Jarasan would go back and hang out with his advisors, say, well, the wind was blowing in the wrong way, whatever, Try again. So 17 times he mounted these soldiers and he came. So here, Krishna's literally burning them to ashes. It's described that as he's shooting those arrows, it's just like a big fire emanating there. So she's remembering that. And not only them, but the ones on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna didn't directly fight, but he empowered Arjuna and maybe other Pandavas and everything. And he obviously was the force behind it. So she's remembering that. Apavarga virya, your strength never falters. And then she remembers his pastimes in Vrindavan, Govinda. She's not ignoring that part. Govinda, Dvija, Surati, Haravatara. You're the avatar, you're the scent of the Lord himself, who pleases the cows and the senses, and who destroys all the distress of the cow, Govinda, Dvija, Sura, of the Brahmins, of the demigods or other devotees. Arti Hara means taking away all the suffering. Yogeshwara, you're the master of all yoga and all yogis. Akila Guru, the spiritual master of all. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namaste, I offer my obeisances. She begins her prayers with Namaste, I offer my obeisances, and she ends her prayer, the last word is Namaste. So that's a great meditation on Krishna. Glorification. You can just chant that one verse. You didn't compose it, but there it is. Queen Kunti's prayers. So this is what bhakti is all about. You appropriate these prayers. They're there for us. The Bhagavatam is filled with these prayers in glorification of Krishna. And if you don't know any prayers, there's always that perfect prayer, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. By chanting Krishna's name in front of Krishna's form, by meditating on the name, that's the best kind of glorification. And Krishna from within, he purifies. He's within everyone. Okay. Everyone should glorify the Lord to his own ability. If we're serious and sincere devotees, the Lord will give us the intelligence to offer prayers properly. So that's another aspect that Krishna is ready to help us. What does it say? Aham sarvasya bhavavo matag sarvavartate iti madvava jande mam bhura bhava samanvata. If we believe this is like, in one sense, a certain climax in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is revealing in the 10th chapter to Arjuna, I am the source of everything, everything emanates from me. I am God. He's giving it to Arjuna and he's telling us also. Those who are wise accept this truth and they worship me with all their hearts. How? By hearing and chanting. We're back to hearing. Matchitta magata prana bodhi yantak parasparam. They always place their minds on me, and they give their life breath to me by their activities, and they come together. When they come together, they glorify me, and in this way enjoy spiritual pleasure. Tushti, romanticha. They achieve spiritual satisfaction, and they enjoy spiritual pleasure by glorifying together. Krishna consciousness is a type of yoga where the more the merrier. Not alone. We have our japa chanting alone, but basically we're come together in groups to glorify the Lord and increase everyone's ecstasy that way. Now, what's the result? For those who are doing that, what does he say? Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama piyandite. For those who are glorifying me in such a way, who are always chanting my glories with love, satatayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. So he's in the heart. He knows what we're doing, and he sees our sincerity. He gives us more and more intelligence. And with his energy, the shining lamp of knowledge, he destroys the darkness of ignorance out of his compassion, out of his feeling. He's empathetic to us. This is totally a personal movement. So that's the reciprocation. Bhakti means there's two, and there's a reciprocation. And therefore Prabhupada says, if we are serious and sincere devotees, the Lord will give us the intelligence to offer prayers properly. So we should take this offer of Krishna's, and that's what part of this reading of the Bhagavatam is, because we constantly come across glorification and prayers, which we just hearing it is purifying, and what to speak of chanting it, relishing it. And the next verse is all about wonderful worshipping the katamritadrita. Literally means attentive to the nectarian words about Krishna. That's the first qualification for going back to Godhead is getting a taste for hearing and chanting. That's in the second canto, or first canto, I forget. Okay, it's 8:30. Any questions or comments? We have our Q&C mic there. I think. Okay. Go ahead.
You mentioned a word that the unwanted things in the heart. You used another word, and I always hear the word anartha.
Anarthas.
But you used another word.
Yes.
What's the difference?
What is it? Abhadra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bhadra means very auspicious. Abhadra means inauspicious things, bad things. That's why we have Subhadra. She gives good fortune.
You said something about developing a taste for hearing the messages of Krishna. There's that verse in the Bhagavatam, the 3rd canto by Lord Brahma. It's about people who don't develop the taste. It's a hanta, alas, alas. Maybe you could tell us that verse.
There's only one hanta at the end, but
oh,
it's
okay. I thought it was 2.
Yeah. I got to use that verse when I was at Toronto Rath Yatra. They had me give a seminar. Well, he's describing Vaikuntha, then he describes who goes and who doesn't go. Who gets to go, who doesn't get to. So first he says who doesn't go. Yan na vrajanti. Vrajanti means to go. They don't go. Yan na vrajant agabado rachanano vara chinbandiyenya vishaya kukata matigni yastu shuta hatabagaya nibarata saras tang chapant yashadaneshu tamaksu hanta. So ashadaneshu means without shelter. Tamaksu means in darkness. So they don't go who hear sounds which are opposed to or have nothing to do with the glorification of Agabidha. Agabidha is he who destroys our sin. It's a name for Krishna. Yanna vajan agabidho. Rachana. Rachana means activities or lila that consist of his lila and pastimes, name, form, qualities. Rachana yanna vajan agabidho rachanano varat. Anuvarat means words that follow the authorized previous descriptions, which describe the pastimes of Krishna, the destroyer of sin. But anya vishaya can mean different things. Here it means the subject matters. They hear other subjects. There's millions of them. Shota Vyada Niraj in the beginning of second canto. So anya vishaya characterized as kukata. You can just remember that one word. That's the instead of Krishna kata, which is all auspicious, there's kukata, which is vibrations about anything else. Matigni, which destroys your intelligence. That's he's telling it like it is. So then he says, Matigni yastu shuddha. Those who hear these vibrations, yastu shuddha hatabagaya, they lose all good fortune. It takes all good fortune away. Just hearing about the mundane things. Nribir, that means human beings. Atasaras, and completely destroys your interest in the essence of life. In other words, spiritual matters, going back to God, who am I, all of that. You lose all. It's like we're sitting here, a tiny little group. That means all those millions of people, except those on the internet or studying Bhagavad Gita. A small squad compared to the millions of people in this area are losing all their good fortune. And what does he say? Tang, those subjects you're hearing, damn it. Chapanti, they throw you. Ashadaneshu, down where there's no shelter. Tamaksu, and complete darkness, a hellish life. And then Brahma says, Hanta, alas. This is what happened. So this is the clear choice. It's all based on the sound vibration. Everything, this temple, everything we do. It's all based on whatever enthusiasm for serving we've gained by our association with the sound vibration, chiefly the holy name of Krishna. The Hare Krishna mantra, from there everything is expanding. There, the interest, the enlivenment, the realization is all starting there and ending there, but it's expanding into Bhagavatam, CC, and so many other vibrations, authorized vibrations. So our opportunity is unlimited. It's just a question of our will and our desire. Because yes, there's habituation, conditioning in doing the wrong thing. That's what it means. I mean, this is not a once a week or even once a day program. It's a 24-hour program. So therefore, we have our work cut out for us. The kick out, that famous verse I always like to chant, in how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? If you get enough presence of mind to introspect and see what's going on, that the mind is full of all these things pushing you here, pushing you there. Now, what chance do we have? The only chance we have is by purifying the intelligence. The intelligence is intrinsically over the mind. But when the intelligence has been weakened by hearing and chanting mundane vibrations and things, then it's at the service of the mind, which is under the control of the senses, and it's the lower self leading the higher self. It's right in the 3rd chapter. So hearing, studying, and acting according to the Shastras strengthens the higher self, the intelligence, to control the mind, and eventually the mind becomes your friend. I was just hearing Prabhupada give this wonderful talk. We have such an ocean of things. Sometimes it's hard to pick out what to listen to. I highly recommend Srila Prabhupada's lectures on the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, which was made into a book called Yoga System. And there is, there's a verse, we should know it, Uddhadeta Atmanatmanam, that the mind is the friend and also the enemy of the soul. The mind attached to matter is the enemy of, our enemy, and it has been attached for time immemorial. So how to make the mind one's friend? By Sangha. By the mind associating with pure vibrations and images and everything. So that at a certain point, the natural attraction to Krishna becomes more and more manifest. And you can't forget, the gopis are the perfect examples of devotees. There's a verse in the Krishna Karnamrita where one gopi, Radharani or something, is saying, don't talk about Krishna anymore. Enough already. Kimi hakunamaka kasya bhuma kutam katamashaya. Katayata katamanyandam danyamaho videyeshaya. Modala modala smera kade manonayanotsade kripana krishne tishna chedam modalam. Amazing verse. So Kimi hakunamaka, let enough already with this trying to meet Krishna. Let everything we've been trying to do be finished now. Kasya bruma. Say something auspicious, but don't say anything about Krishna. Katayata katam anyam danyam. But then she says, aho, videyeshaya, this Krishna is in my heart. Murala smera kane. Murala smera kane. His smiling form is so sweet. Mano Nayanotsave is an eternal festival for the mind. Kripana, Krishna, this desire to meet Krishna, this wretched desire is increasing at every moment. So Radharani has a prayer like that. She has a statement. The point is that their minds are so fixed on Krishna, they love him so much, pure, that even though he left them for 100 years, they still couldn't give him up. This is said by Rupa Goswami to be the one of the main indications that this is real prema. It's not just kama. Kama comes and goes. If your lover goes away and you find out that he's with someone else, the love turns to hate. People have been killed on that basis. Divorce, that same person who you loved, I'll live with you forever, I promise, till death do us part. But something happens, and then it turns around. That's not love. That's called lust. It's flickering on and off. It's very painful. But love for Krishna is not like that. The gopis show, in spite of Krishna's leaving them, and feeling like, we want to die in his absence, but we can't die because that will make him unhappy, so we can't. And they couldn't stop thinking. And you read the Lalita Madhava, Krishna's doing the same thing on his side. He's living there with all these queens, but he's dreaming of going back to Vrindavan. He's thinking of the gopis. So the point is that real prema means love that cannot break under any circumstance, even though so that means the mind has been so saturated and is getting so much pleasure just from thinking of Krishna that it can't give him up. Now we have to forcibly listen to the name Krishna. But the Goswami said, I wish I had 1 million ears I could hear this name. It's so sweet, right? So anyway. So that's the natural state, where we're 100% thinking of Krishna, dreaming of serving him, trying to serve him as much as possible every moment, don't want to sleep. What is this sleep? It's just distracting me from my service. You can see the difference. But that's a long way off. But that comes from constant purification. So you can see how impure we are. All these lifetimes, of accruing all of these bad qualities. But the process is here. It's given to us. And the means are given. And we have all good fortune. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.